When we speak of ISB and its impact on students, the one word that stands out is transformation. We welcome bright young minds to the school, see them graduate with flying colors, and go on to accomplish some incredible things. He began his professional journey in FMCG, driving brand strategy across India and the Asia Pacific at Unilever before founding Colosceum Media, a production powerhouse that created some of India's most iconic TV shows, including MTV Roadies, MasterChef India, and Jai Shri Krishna. He joined the founding class at ISB, believing in the power of management education to shape purpose-driven leadership. His time at the school deepened his approach to strategy, people management, and long-term thinking, principles that would shape his path in media and entertainment. In his roles as Chief Operating Officer at Viacom 18 and now heading Star Studio 18, he has overseen the creation and distribution of breakthrough films and digital content, helping redefine Indian entertainment. His leadership continues to focus on bold storytelling, innovation, and building new platforms that engage audiences across India and the world. Join me for a conversation that takes a deep look into the journey of Ajit Andhare from the PGP founding class and Head of Star Studio 18. Ajit, thank you so much for joining us today at Impact Chronicles.
Pleasure is mine.
And this is such a lovely setting in some sense, really capturing the essence of what you do, bringing joy to people through this very creative, platform and medium that you've chosen. But your journey has been very unique. You started off as an engineer by training and then also went on to build factories at Unilever. Then ISB happened, marketing, entrepreneur, and now heading one of India's mostly influential content studios. I'm just curious, what were some of the, choices, that you made, and what guided those choices in this journey, and the kind of evolution as far as your, storytelling aspect through these years, if you could share that with us.
Certainly, Guru. Thanks first of all for having me. It's always pleasure to go back to your home and your school. ISB is both.
Lovely.
And it's always a privilege and a pleasure to travel back the memory lane. Yes, I agree the setting is beautiful, but as I said, the only thing which is looming large on my head is the empty chairs, because that's not what we hope for. We only wish them to be fully occupied.
Always, yes.
So I think what you're saying is what is the what has been the thought which has kind of guided this transition. Correct. So I think, look, there are only two things ultimately. It's almost similar to where we are today. It's you, the person, and the room. And I think all the decisions that happened with me are essentially the balance of these two forces, So I think the person is your inward drive, what motivates you, excites you, and what naturally, without possibly any cue, is your place where you gravitate.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, the easier bit. The other bit is, of course, the room, the people, the world, the external forces, which voices that whisper in your ear and make you aware of what it is and what you should do and all of that. And I think each of these transitions were really a balance of these two conversations taking place. One is the inner voice, the other is the room, really. So I was always first driven by what I wanted to do naturally, and I was very curious. The very reason I went to engineering is I was very fascinated by the aspect of people inventing things. And the same thing happened at the campus stage. I wanted to join some solid engineering company, build bridges, dams, change the world and all of that. Idealist sort of, Tata-driven thought. So I wanted to join telco.
Okay.
And in came this company called Hindustan Lever, and everybody said that, the brightest ones are supposed to apply to this company. So that whole sense of, relative competition and, if the other guy is doing, I must do the same thing,
A little bit of FOMO.
Absolutely, FOMO and all. And I said, no, and all that. And then I did the interview, and I ended up being the only guy who actually got selected. Here I land up in this company, which was a brilliant education in leadership, general management, all of that. I think the impact is an area which always sort of interested me. If there is a large impact, I'm in, which was there in this case. And that stint provided a lot of excitement in engineering. And then again, the voice of the world, where I started realizing that this company is actually rewarding the general managers or the IM guys a lot more than, good old pure engineers. And the worldly wise sense kicked in that maybe it doesn't make sense to just, even though I'm loving what I'm doing, and I practiced engineering for 4 years, many solutions we implemented, I had a great time. But the voice of the world took over. That, this is not the main thing here. Marketing guys are really the son-in-laws in this company. So I cannot sit away from attention for so long. I must be part of son-in-law brigade, So
that
I said,
group.
That group. And I said, okay, you know what? I could actually run operations because I have had enough of learning of all this. So once there was an opportunity and I said, I want to shift out from engineering to actually run the business ops fully. So there I was, I think this was must be 23, 24. Or maybe a little more than that. And I was actually heading the north branch of animal feeds. So this was about I roughly remember about a 50 odd crore kind of
value of
business, but a full business. So then I immersed myself in this completely new field where I had, no sort of formal training or, background in, but all acquired knowledge through experience, curiosity, all of that. And then I took to responding to this challenge that having come from an engineering background, can I run a business? And I think by the end of that, I was saying that, look, I have done all this. Actually, I've run a business, by the way, but I don't have a business degree. And that's where the journey of saying that, before I get too cozy or, lazy, I should possibly now do an MBA because I felt right. So then I started writing GMAT and all of that. And that's when this whole road to ISB opened, and it did have an appeal because of the entire...
Yeah, I'm just curious, what was that appeal? Because you clearly had choices.
Yeah.
But do you recall anything that made you think like, hey, this is a great bet for me, even though there's no sort of past record?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what they did, I'll tell you the 2-3 things that were done very well. I clearly remember that the advisory board that McKinsey had put up together was really a who's who. So this is the first time you thought that a corporate had a stake in an institution from the beginning. Otherwise, companies come at the end of your degree on a day 1 or a day 2 or a day 0, whenever. So there is no stake. And here we saw that there was a buy-in from levers. I had seen myself, the company...
Mr. Dadi was...
Absolutely. Mr. Dadi himself was there at that time.
Correct.
Of course, there was, McKinsey. There were big names from that side. And therefore, it looked... very promising. I thought there was also an element of you wanted to be a part of this because there was some sort of aspect of a noble deed here, like we're building something,
Unique.
Unique and Indian, so we don't have anything like this. And I mean, if I go out to the tried and tested and attractive options of US, somehow I'll miss part of being something which does feel inspiring, to be part of, even if it is a little risky. So I somehow got drawn to it, and then I thought that, okay, the other big advantage was at that time, I remember, as someone who's already spent some time in management, in active...
running businesses,
running projects, all of that. The whole idea of 1 year at that time made a lot of sense because
the opportunity cost
and a lot of stuff you already know. So you don't want to, go through a 2-year sort of, course where you are going to kind of be taught what you already know. So this looked very attractive also that, okay, this is exactly what I need after 5 to 6 years. If I'm able to go back to school, put a dedicated 1 year into it. So I think there were these 2-3 aspects. The appeal of the entire initiative and how it was mounted. It had never been done in India before. Fact that it also had an emotional tug that you are building something which is...
And the opportunity to be part of it.
And the opportunity to be part of that, something unique and special. And the third, as I said, was the practical aspect of saying, okay, 1 year. So... Then he said, okay, this looks like a journey worth taking.
But did you know at that time that you would get into a business side role, manage, marketing, etc.? Was that something that you had discussed with your folks at Levers, or?
I think the first decade went in making sure that, you know, really sort of delivering on the roles that you have, and, you know, you're moving your stations at a reasonable clip and so on and so forth. So I think at that point there was, I think, a reasonable amount of journey already that had happened, where you're also able to genuinely introspect and say, okay, so this is great, and I've been taking part in this pageantry and this contest year on year. But what is all this meaning to me? And, you know, is this something that I'm going to do forever? And again, you know, going back to the inner voice and what's the restlessness telling me. And I think that was building up for a while. And a lot of that also happened in ISB, where I started to realize that, well, while a lot of what I do is almost as a result of what my education or what my CV is, but there is a whole lot of aspect which is not on that paper. And that is what actually drives me as a person. And how do I respond to that drive, you know? And this is something which used to happen even within what I used to do within Unilever. So I will always gravitate towards something which is more creative. You know, I was not contented to just give the brief and leave it to the agency. I used to think that the agency has the more interesting job, you know, that how will they do this? So only the setting up the strategic framework is all great. I mean, that's the thinking part, but then the how is where the fun is.
So the process.
The creative process,
correct,
you know, because that's where they will come up with, let's say, the, you know, 5 different ways of saying the same thing. So that used to attract me, and a lot of stuff that I did within my marketing function, even within sales, used to somehow involve a lot of creative aspects, you know. And by the time I go back to the point of being Unilever Thailand, there I had started to piece together, you know, some thoughts as to if I have to do what will be my segue into this, you know. And therefore, so I think to complete the answer to that question, the entire working right from whatever I was doing in Levers, and I used to hear this every day that you should do something creative, you know, this is your play and all of that. And I thought that this is a very interesting place. Storytelling is an interesting place. And if there is a way I can create a business in storytelling, then that responds to the room, because it serves all this education that I have, that, okay, there is a business aspect to it. And storytelling is the inner voice. So then I said, look, then I have to start. That was
like a nice amalgamation of both.
Yes. So I said, I have to start a content company. And that's how, when I kind of developed enough belief by the time I was 35, and I said, if I don't do it now any further, if I delay it, I'm not going to do it ever. So then I really gave it up all. So I quit Unilever, like good, your old-fashioned quit means quit. And I said, I'm just doing something else. And then I came to Mumbai and started this company. We had raised funding from Raghav Bahel's company, Capital 18. And that's how the entrepreneurial journey started. That's how, you know, Colosceum was born. That was a name that, you know, again, we came up by saying that, okay, which is the grandest theater of entertainment in human history, Colosseum. So yes, so that's how we started. And then the story of Colosseum took on from there. And then subsequent stations, which is what I do right now, and so on and so forth. But that is where it all began.
I want to come back to your current role in a while, but you know, there are many huge names in terms of your, you know, outputs, the kind of stuff that you've created, like, you know, in your entrepreneurial stint, Splitsvilla, Roadies, Bhag Milka Bhag, much later, Queen, Padmavat. I mean, these are all sort of names which are iconic names in terms of the culture that they have set. For you, as someone who has had this creative leadership and entrepreneurial drive, what are some of the instincts that how do you go about when selecting, let's say, script? I mean, how do you know that this may work for the audience who you intend to serve?
Yeah. I think there are two aspects to it. One is, I think, your native response. What are you feeling? I've always said that, you know, let's go with an open mind and hear what the script has to say. And and let your natural response play out.
Yeah.
And you should feel sufficiently excited, motivated, and see enough tug in it to be personally excited. That's one part of it. I think the second part of it is it's about knowing, strangely, the room. We are going back to that, but that's what it is, because it's not just you. And that has had a big role in especially the kind of body of work we have at Viacom 18 Studios, because we've created cinema and bagged cinema which has been fairly unconventional. If look at our love stories, the Viacom 18 love story would be like a toiletic prem katha. I don't see any of these traditional guys ever making that script. Or Oh My God, which is a completely unimaginable film in the context of what Indian cinema is,
Yeah.
Or even a small film like Maji the Mountain Man, which is simply one man and the mountain story.
Literally moving a mountain.
So you don't see the standard insiders who are, and I'm not saying this with any amount of,
Of course.
they're people with great crafts and great heritage. But then they are the box. So what we thought is we will try and look for outside the box, again a cliche, but if you look at Kahani, for example, Vidya's film, there is no hero in it.
Yeah.
If you look at Queen, it doesn't have a leading man. Indian cinema history is built on leading men. Heroes are big stars because cinema is powered by them and they power cinema. But a lot of work that we did were actually, they had no heroes only, right? If you look at, the more recent one, Fighter. Now, Fighter looks pretty conventional in some sense, but it is the first film which is trying to go out there in the air and do an aviation drama, So I think what at least I have tried is to pick, identify and kind of go to stories which are not the box for both reasons. A, that is then our unique offering to the market, and we will be good at it rather than doing what the others are already good at. If I do a conventional good story, Yashraj would beat me any day, But if I do an unconventional story like this, maybe I can have my own niche. So I think the whole approach has been to find something which has something different to offer than the mainstay that has been for years, and keep this new age audience of multiplex in mind, who have seen the conventional cinema and therefore are also looking for something new and different. Yeah. So if you see the entire decade of 2000s, bulk of the films that have come from our studios, or indeed even some from UTV, were the new voice. So Rang De Basanti is a completely new voice. That's not what Indian cinema has normally done, And I think bringing these new voices, bringing a new narrative and bringing some of these untold sort of stories was the primary motivation. And which is why, while we have a very cliched line of redefining cinema or reimagining cinema, it actually, we actually meant it, and that's how we have lived through that line by curating this kind of body of work, which is quite distinct. We often don't get credit for this because, of course, people who are insiders and recognized faces in industries are, seen, and rightly so, for what they stand for. But I think as outsiders who come from no film background or film lineage, I would say we've, even if I'm beating my own trumpet, but I think I would say we've done a fairly good job of carving a completely different page in the cinema of this country. Yeah. Otherwise, this kind of cinema would not get made,
Yeah. So, Ajit, I want to bring back to the ISB story. So, for example, as a founding class student way back in 2001, and today the school is next year going to be 25 years. You've seen the school as a student, an alum, proud supporter, and through your sort of creative lens that you have, if you were to think of this as a movie or as a story to be told, how would you sort of talk about the ISB journey? One, just standalone, but also in relationship to your own sort of experience as well.
Yeah, I mean, it is actually like a movie which has unfolded. I think we were at the initial stages, the people who were scripting and writing it, and today it's a blockbuster. It's actually pretty simple in that sense. Yeah, I mean, I remember some of these exercises we used to do back then, that what will be ISB 5-year hence, or what will you do 10 years hence. And we've done some of those. I think Peter White used to run some of those courses in which we did some of these exercises. I think by all accords, we've done far better than, what we would have imagined at that point. I think today, you don't have to, I mean, the brand stands for itself. You just mentioned the 3 letters and you don't have to explain to people. Initially, we had to,
Of course.
Indian School of Business, it's in Hyderabad, it's the only thing, all of that. You have to give the whole, you don't have to hand out the visiting card today. The mention of ISB is a story in itself. And I think the other thing is, I think the sheer variety of, Alum stories, which I think, what we're trying to do through this also, I think that's something which is very exciting, and that makes this movie therefore unique. The several characters in it who've had so many journeys of their own, which are movies unto themselves, and so on and so forth. And I think this whole model of, at least for us, it was vital. And I know that we are also now starting the 2-year course. And again, but to me, the very attractive piece in this was to have a bunch of, people around you who already are bringing in their own stories of a reasonable degree of, lived life experiences. And I think that made the class very enriching. And I think that whole aspect of having people with 5, 6, 7 years of work behind them, I think added to a lot of depth of your own, experience in that class. And I think it's just been a fascinating and successful beyond imagination story, if I plug back to those days, because we had lots of fears and questions and all of that.
So one of the things, Ajit, as a founding class student, is there a message that you'd like to give to the current students of the PGPYL program?
You're in good hands. I think to me, what I'd say is that this, colleges are actually a great time to look at yourself from a distance. Javed Saab puts this very nicely. अपने आप को एक फासले से देखिए, So while you do your stuff and you do your own journey, I think it affords a great opportunity to look at yourself from a distance, and therefore you are able to look at yourself deeply as well, as to what really are your triggers, what really is driving you, who you are, and all of that. I think this is a great time to delve into those questions. Not that you cannot do that any other time, but I think college affords, especially an MBA, a great opportunity to do that. And I think I remember distinctly all these external, lectures that we used to have.
And guest speakers and all.
Guest speakers, especially from very diverse fields, people from the non-profit sector. I know Vijay Mahajan had come and spoken to us. I think an exposure to a lot of these other aspects of life, which you may not directly be concerned with, it really widens your perspective and actually helps to form a thinking which you may not realize at that point in time. So I think in that sense, it's a very deep curative period. And the results of this curation may be evident maybe a few years down the line.
As an outsider, looking at ISB, the past 25 years, what would you, if at all, have advised to offer to the dean and the leadership of the school for, let's say, the next 25 years of the school's growth? Where should the school be investing its resources? What are some of the things that you would like the school to be doing, just, as an alum or otherwise?
I think there are 2-3 areas which never go out of fashion. I think one area is of course thought leadership. When you are at a stage of a 28-30 years career, there is a feeling of a been there, done that. I think a school has a great opportunity to address that sort of a thought plateau, because you go through a learning curve and then you come to a point where you say, okay, fine. I mean, I have broadly absorbed what was there to be absorbed, good or bad, whatever. And you experience a certain plateauing of learning. I think one of the things that a school of this nature, which at the heart of it is about thought leadership, is really plug into life stages where there is a forum, there is an engagement to challenge that, to both sort of leverage what people have already sort of taken in, but also to challenge that plateau.
I have a set of rapid fire questions.
Oh my God, this is always the scary one.
but I'm sure it's not for you. So what's Ajit reading right now?
I'm only reading scripts right now.
And a film or a series that you wish you had produced?
Sayara. Yeah, I mean, the sheer numbers and the sheer simplicity of that story. Yeah.
A lesser known fact about Ajit Andhare?
I do poetry.
What's one failure that taught you more than success ever did? If there is one such.
Lal Singh Chadda. Here we are talking about an Oscar-winning, film with Amir Khan and a journey of such sincerity. But yeah, we learned a whole lot with that.
To you, cinema is what?
I think it's a celebration of life. It's really encapsulates life. It's also life with all the boring bits edited. It's all that we aspire to be, what we should be, but possibly what we cannot be.
And if you have to create a movie title for your time at ISB, what would that movie title be?
दिल पता नहीं क्या चाहता है.
The last script that gave you goosebumps?
So actually it was, so there are two. So one is actually a narration, and I don't know when this comes out, but hopefully by the time it comes out, we would have formally signed. So there is a Tamil film that we are doing. Let's break it here itself.
Wow, very good. So this is like breaking news
because,
for all of us.
Yeah, there is a Tamil film I'm doing with Vijay Sethupathi, which is right now in the process of signing. It's called Batta. It gave me goosebumps, totally. It's a fascinating story, and it has, no, let me not say anything more, otherwise I'll reveal the film. And another script that gave me goosebumps was, which is a sequel of one of our very famous title, and that name I will not be able to give right now.
Okay, there's too many intriguing parts, but we'll let you off the hook because that's your work thing. So you said you're a poet as well. So
I mean, I get very scared when somebody uses words in that manner. I won't call myself a poet, but yeah, I do write a few lines. I
would love to, if you can share some.
So I'll read out this one, which actually. So there is this film from Gulzar called Ijazat. It's a beautiful film, Rekha, Nasiruddin Shah and Anuradha Patel. It's a phenomenal film, it's a milestone film. And I wrote this basically as you can think of it as a dedication to that film. It's almost a dedication to Gulzar Saab for what he has been, and especially this film, and it's actually titled Ijazat.
Okay.
तो अगर आपकी इजाजत हो तो मैं ये पढ़ के सुनाऊं इसमें से. आज बारिश अपनी आगोश से निकलने की इजाजत ही नहीं दे रही. जकड़े हुए है मुझे कुछ यूं जैसे धुन बस जाती है जहन में कोई. टहोका लगाती हवाएं कब से फुसला रही है बादलों को. मेरे दर पे वो जिद्दी बैठे हैं यूं जैसे हिसाब पुराना चुकाना हो कोई. वादियां छुप गई जब मुसलसल फुहारों में, हौले से नजर आई तू उफक के किनारों में. हर बूंद में बरसती तेरी यादों से, तो कुछ तसव्वुर से तेरे भीगा हुआ ये दिन कब बीत गया एक पल में, ये ख्याल नहीं मुझको. कुछ बारिशें थमती नहीं कभी, बस छत पक्की बना लेते हैं हम, कि ज़िंदगी बसी रहे घरों में, कि ज़िंदगी बसी रहे घरों में. चलता हूँ इजाज़त दो बारिश, घर का दिया जलाना है मुझे.
Wow, beautiful. I like the part where the references to us taking shelter and just staying put.
Yep.
Lovely. Thank you, Ajit. I mean, for sharing what has been, I think, such an effortless conversation. And it's only natural to expect something like that from a master storyteller like you, who has seen this journey over the past many years, heading some of India's most influential content studios, but more importantly, as a person who has seen a lot of what really describes India. India is all about cinema, movies. We are a country who are fascinated by movies, and you are like the power behind the button, making all of these things happen. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today at Impact Chronicles, and look forward to more such opportunities.
Thank you so much, Guru. It was delightful talking to you. I enjoyed it a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.